Hello, this video is on pressurized bladder system. And this is a short guide how to pre-charge air and stop frequent pump start-stop. These are the actual photos. Hello everyone, this is Coach Bong, and this short video will hopefully guide pressure tank owners like me who have a bladder system as far as frequent problems. I'm actually speaking in English only so the captions from YouTube will be reflected. Anyway, I've had this problem for more than a year, and I thought it's about time to really understand how it works. So here, okay, I have 3 floors in the house. This pump system is located at the second floor. The system is composed of 2 gravity tanks and a pressure tank and a pressure pump. So the entry of water, according to the maintenance technician, Maynila has a natural pressure of about 20 psi. So from the ground level, because of the pressure of 20 psi, it can enter by gravity and from this Maynila pressure to the 2 large water tanks. So I colored it blue to represent water, and just by the height of the water on the second floor, the head it allows it to supply the second and the first floor just by the head of the water. The height of the water, it will flow naturally without need of the pump or the pressure tank. So that's the system. Why do we have tanks? So that at times when Manila has no supply of water or the pressure is less, then we have stock of water available for the meantime. Now the intake is at the top of the tanks, and the discharge to take advantage of the gravity is at the bottom. There are 2 gate valves beneath the bottom, and they flow by gravity. Again, when the water requirement is going to the second or the first floor, as represented by the yellow lines, then it just flows by gravity as long as there's water in the tank system. Now again, this tank system is on the second floor. So what if there's a requirement of water from the 3rd floor? That's when the pressure pump, water pump, and the pressure tank goes into action. Okay. Now the pressure tank is a bladder type, so there's a butyl rubber bladder inside a steel tank. Inside the rubber is water. So it's still water. The water is supplied by gravity from the water tanks, but it can fill only a certain part. Okay, this water pump will pressurize it up to a cutoff setting of about 40 psi. So you will have in this inside portion of the bladder pressurized water up to 40 psi. The capacity of the bladder here is 80 liters. So if there's a requirement for the 3rd floor bathroom or the faucet, then without the water pump activating, the first source will be the pressurized water from here, and it will flow like this on a pressurized basis. Now, as the water volume here decreases, imagine from 40 psi, it becomes 20 or almost 0, then what will happen is the water pump will activate and pump water from these lines going here to fill up the pressure again. So that's how the system works. This system activates only when there's a need for water at the 3rd floor, which is higher than what the water levels here can supply by gravity. Now, um, what do we need to remember? So these valves are always open. These gate valves are always open. This globe valve beneath the pressure tank is also always open. This pump has a circuit breaker always open, and this pressure switch is mechanically activated. So there's nothing to do here unless you need to change the settings of 20 to 40 psi. Now, what is with the water here? So water's inside the bladder, and outside there is air. Okay. Now what happens is when the pump activates, it pumps water until 40 psi, which increases the air pressure here inside the steel tank. Now, it's important to have air here because then it will also be the one to push out the water, the pressurized water, going to the third floor. Now, there's a valve here, a charging valve, a release valve, that over time, we expect that the air pressure will decrease. And if there's no more air pressure here or it's too low, then there's no air pressure to push out the water here. And what will happen is this pump will always charge water here. Okay, so this becomes the system becomes useless when the air pressure goes down. So what do you do if the air pressure goes down? According to the system, about every 6 months, what you need to do is to recharge air here to bring up to a pressure of 20 psi, 20 psi, so that again, with the 20 psi here outside the bladder and the 20 to 40 psi water pressure here, this pump will only activate occasionally when there's a need for the third floor and when there is less than 20 psi and less volume in this bladder. That's the only time this pump should activate. So what happens if the pressure here over several months decreases to below 20 psi or almost zero? Then what you do is to remove this tank through this flange here, remove it. There should not be so much water flowing out here because according to the technician, and it's probable, air here has a certain percent humidity. Over time, the humidity of the water, because of the pressure, the humidity of the air condenses. So there's some water here, but as long as the release valve doesn't show water coming out, then it's good. Okay. So again, what do you do if you need to pre-charge air? You remove this tank through this flange here. Okay. Once you remove this, you also close the gate valves here and drain all the water from the system, including that from the third floor. So all water is out. Okay. You can take out the rubber, clean it from rust and other dirt. You can also clean the inside of the tank. And then once it's clean and you've connected this, when you connect the flange here, make sure that you grease it up on the rubber. And also when you tighten the bolts, it's on alternate bolts so that it clamps uniformly. Okay. But before you attach this, first recharge air. So air will be here. It's clamped, and then you connect this. And then so once this is connected, you open the gate valves to fill up this line. And then the pump will detect that there's no pressure here. So it will pump, goes up here, and then it will fill the system. So what happens if you pre-charge more than 20 psi. If the pressure here is higher than 20 psi, which is higher than my NILAD pressure, then what happens is you cannot charge so much water pressure here because the pressure of air is too high. So again, make sure that when you detach this, the pressure gauge in this system will show 0 psi. Sometimes you have to um, tap on the pressure gauge to make sure it's 0 and it's reading correctly, so that again, you only charge 20 psi. If you charge 40 psi, then perhaps it's impossible to charge 20 to 40 psi to this 80-liter bladder. All right, so what we did today was pre-charge this, and this was detached. Um, Once the pre-charge is there and the bladder is connected here to this plunge, we connected this to the plunge of the water line, opened the gate valves, the pump started and pumped here, and then we opened the lines going to the third floor and to the second and first floor, and it's all good. That's how simple it is when adding charge to the water tank. When disconnecting this, what you do, again, if you wanted to pre-charge this, of course, close the gate valves, drain the lines, detach this. There should not be water coming out. When you tap on this before detaching, it should not show that it's filled with water, because if it's filled with water, there's a possibility that the bladder is punctured and water is spilling out to the tank, and that's not good because it will encourage rust. So hopefully this diagram will be of help to bladder system household water system owners like myself who has struggled with this problem for more than a year. And again, I just recorded this in English just so the captions will be automatically generated by YouTube, and it's maybe easier for others to follow. Thank you so much and hope this video helps you. Bye.